Good morning. We are talking about calorie counting, calorie deficits, energy deficits, and if it really matters and how much it matters when it comes to fat loss. So we're here to discuss this together. My name is Vanessa Shears. I'm a weight loss coach for women. I've been working in the fitness and nutrition industry for over 10 years, and I'm sharing my answers with you so that you can get on the train to feeling your best and, looking your best. So I've been getting questions all week because we've been talking a lot about hormones and calories and, what makes up a healthy body and a healthy gut and helps you lose body fat fastest, and in a way that's enjoyable. And if you've been watching the videos throughout the week, that's awesome. If you haven't, I really suggest you go back and take a look at some of those because there's some really valuable content in there. But one of the questions that's come up a couple times is about energy deficit and calories. And specifically, there was a question this morning that wanted to know a bit more about the fallacy of calorie intake versus fat loss. And specifically, she was saying, I've counted calories for a while now, but it just seems like there's something more to it. And the fact that we're feeling this, that there's something more to it, means we're on the right track, because there definitely is. I've had clients that have calorie tracked forever without losing weight. And I'm going to explain why that is, and also what you can do to start getting your fat loss moving without counting calories. So, a little personal story from me. About 6 years ago, I decided to compete in one of those, those fitness competitions where you get up on stage in your bathing suit and, you prance around and stuff like that. And that was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. But the only way that I knew how to lose weight at that time was to count calories. So, I opened up MyFitnessPal, which seemed to be the app everyone was using at the time, and it told me I needed to eat 1,500 calories a day, and I was like, all right, well, it must know more than I did. So then I would eat whatever I liked as long as it fit into the calories. And you're darn right, I did lose weight, but I was miserable the entire time because I always felt hungry, and I always had headaches, and I was miserable, I was grumpy, and then, by the time that competition got around and I got on stage, yeah, it was a lot smaller, but I was really miserable, lightheaded, grumpy. I felt like I wasn't even on the right planet. And then as soon as I walked off that stage show and was like, I did so well, I totally deserve to go back to eating normal now that I'm at the size that I want to be at. And you know what's happened. I blew right back up to the size that I was before I lost the weight, because, it's not sustainable to go on that kind of calorie diet. And what I have done is I've actually broken up my explanation into a series of small question and answers so that I can keep it bite-sized. I'm going to grab my questions. Okay, so if we're going to talk about, calorie counting specifically and how it affects weight loss and what to do better, the first thing you need to know is, what is a calorie? So we think calories are just these things that are in food that when they come into our body, they cause, us to gain weight. Well, that's not actually true. All a calorie is it is a unit of measurement. You know how there's like a centimeter or an inch or a foot or, half a cup or whatever? That basically is a measurement, and that's all a calorie is. A calorie is a unit we use to measure energy. And that is all that it is. So when we're saying something has 100 calories, that means it has 100 units of energy inside that thing. And that it can contribute to either, the energy we use to digest, to breathe, to walk around, or if it's too much, it goes into body fat storage, because we only need a certain amount of energy. So that is what a calorie is. Now, here is the problem. If we know that a calorie is a unit of energy, well, how do they determine the energy, the calories of a food? So what they do is they place the food into something called a bomb calorimeter. And what this does is it burns up the food and sees how much energy it produces in a vacuum. So in a completely isolated thing. So we'll put, a banana in there and see how much energy it gives off. And that is how they decide on the calories in something. But here is where it becomes a problem. Calories on a package that you read or when you Google can be off by as much as plus or minus 25%. So that maybe that 100 calorie banana is actually clocking in at 125 calories when it hits your digestive system. And if you're counting it as 100 calories, you're definitely going to be overeating. If you're counting it as 100 calories and you only got 75 calories because it was off, you're probably not accurately representing what you're intaking. And on top of that, I have, spent a lot of time looking at food and weighing food. And when we're looking at these general apps like MyFitnessPal and you type in apple and you pick apple and you put it on your food log and it says, it's 70 calories. Well, I've gone and weighed an apple and actually put in the grams that the apple makes, and they're usually closer to 100 calories. So not only does the actual calorie amount that you're being given by products and companies, that can vary by as much as over by 25% or under 25%, but there's also human estimation errors. So when you go to put in an apple into your calorie counting, well, your version of an apple and the system's version of an apple might be entirely different. So when you're compounding the effects of human error and measurement error, does it really make sense? What are you counting at this point? There's nothing that, even makes sense for you to be counting because everything is off. So, that's what you have to start looking at is how accurate are you really being with your calories? So, the other thing we need to take into consideration is individual differences. So, my body is different than your body. We process calories and foods differently. So, I might absorb 90% of the calories of a food and you might only absorb 70% of the calories of a food. So when you're tracking those calories in an app, it doesn't account for things like the fact that what if you have leaky gut and you're not absorbing the nutrients and calories? What happens, if you have a sensitivity to a food like dairy and it goes in and it inflames all the little villi, the small little hairs in the intestines that are responsible for absorbing nutrients. If those are inflamed, it blocks absorption. So you might not even be getting the nutrition that you think you're getting. So now not only are you either way over or way underestimating, but you're not even getting the nutrition that you're setting out to get. So these are all things we need to take into consideration about why calorie counting is completely useless. And if you want my opinion, I've always thought it rather dumb. I never encourage my clients to count calories. Sometimes, Paisley, crazy cat. Sometimes I get my clients want to count calories because they want to, learn a bit more about food. And that makes sense. But if you're counting calories for the purpose of weight loss, I think there are such better ways to do it, more by looking at how your body responds to food. So then the next question I was going to identify was, well, say we're bought into the idea of calorie counting. How exactly are you setting how much you should be eating? How are you doing it? Chances are you were just like me and you just opened up the app and it told you to eat, 500 calories or 1,000 calories or 1,500 calories. And all it's really basing it on is your body weight and your gender. But what it doesn't take into account are things like your age or your specific hormone balance. Like my estrogen levels and your estrogen levels are likely different. My insulin levels and your insulin levels are very different. My thyroid hormone levels and your thyroid hormone levels are very different. So a banana in me may be an entirely different experience than a banana in you. So what we need to account for is that when these apps and devices and calculators are spitting out how many calories you should be eating in a given day, it is basing it on the fact that at a given gender and a given weight, we are identical on the inside. It doesn't take into account genetic factors. It doesn't take into account lifestyle factors, environmental factors, hormonal factors. So we're going on an app, we're getting 1,200 calories, and then we're going to go and eat 1,200 calories, but we don't even know if what we're recording is accurate. We don't even know. Is it really 1,200 calories you're eating, or is it 700? Or is it 1,800? There's no way of even being consistent day to day if you eat different foods every day. So if you have the same breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, at least you know relatively day to day you're eating the exact same foods, exact same intake, so that you know if you're not losing weight, well, maybe you edit that. But the fact is, we live in busy cultures. We're not likely eating the same lunch and dinners every day or the same breakfast every day. So what looks to us like 1,500 calories day to day might be 1,200, 1,800, 1,300, 2,000, and we would have no clue because all we're relying on is You know, the fact that we think that these apps are 100% true and that when something says 100 calories on the back of the packaging, that it's true. But the fact is, all this is going on is how much energy that food released when it was in an isolated environment and heated up to see how much energy that food released. It has nothing to do with the human body or hormones or anything like that. So there's so much inherent error in calorie counting, which is why personally I just think it's dumb. I have had clients lose weight, and I'm talking 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 50 pounds without calorie counting. And if that seems like magic to you, it's not. It's really just more focusing on if weight loss and fat loss specifically is your goal, your hormonal environment on the inside of your body needs to be key. Your hormones need to be in a balanced, stable environment for you to lose body fat. And I've done plenty of videos on the effect of, how blood sugar and insulin all interact to help us either stay in or get out of fat burning mode. So definitely check those out. But then we come to the point, the last thing I want to mention here is why calorie counting does not work long term. So say you happen to have a calorie number that you're intaking per day, which is lower than your body requires. So let's just use some general numbers here. Let's say your body burns 2,000 calories a day, and you have done the math and you know that a pound of fat contains 3,500 calories worth of energy. So if you divide 3,500 by 7 days in a week, mathematically, you need to be at a 500 calorie deficit per day to lose a pound per week. If everything we just said was 100% perfect, that might make sense on some level. So here's what we do. We just, assume that a calculator told us that we burn 2,000. So we drop our calories to 1,500 and we'll be down a pound of fat a week. But how many times have you done something like that and you're shocked when it doesn't work? I mean, it's math. How can math not work? Well, the thing that we need to look at this point is, yes, if you drop your calories low enough, you will lose weight. It's just, I'm not saying that the whole calories in, calorie out thing is completely off the table. There is some validity to it, meaning if you starve yourself, absolutely you're going to lose weight. You will break down some muscle, you will break down some fat, and you will lose some weight. But I want you to picture this. If your body, say it needs 2,000 calories, we're just going to use these random estimation of numbers. Say it needs 2,000 calories. And you have decided to intake, 1,200 because you want to lose the weight fast. Your body is going to lose weight, but here's the thing. Because you're not paying attention to your hormones or what foods you're actually eating, your foods that, are maintaining the hormone balance, if you're eating foods that are constantly spiking your insulin levels and your blood sugar levels over and over again, you're eating every 2 to 3 hours and you're causing hormonal chaos in your body, you are going to experience energy crashes in mid-afternoon or maybe mid-morning. You are going to experience tiredness and fatigue and just like you can't do this and everything is so hard. You're going to experience mood swings. You're going to experience probably a hunger, like intense hunger every couple hours. You're going to feel like you are always starving. This is over hunger. It is not truly representative of what your body needs. We have a very distorted image of what our body needs for food. But that is only because our hormones are out of whack. When our hormones are out of whack, we are constantly being told we need more food, more regularly, more energy, more. So you're always fighting that. You're always hungry. You're always miserable. You're feeling wiped out. You're wondering, what the heck is the purpose? This life is miserable. I'm out. So now you're down to your 1,200 calories. You're maybe a month, 2 months into this plan. You've lost a little bit of weight, so you're thinking, well, logically this makes sense that it works. But I'm so miserable. There's no way on this earth that I'm staying with that plan. So what do? You cheat on the weekend. And then you cheat on a weekday. And then all of a sudden you're going back to normal. You've gained back all your weight plus more because you've absolutely thrown off all of your hormones in the meantime. So I'm going to ask you now, does it make any sense to count calories? My experience is that counting calories is not accurate. it has no reflection on what's actually in a food or real life or what our individual bodies need. We don't even bother to check in with ourselves and think, how am I feeling on this? Do I feel bloated? Am I feeling nauseous or sick? Like, what is going on? How do I know if I'm hungry or having a food craving? What's the difference? So what I recommend is the focus should not be on cutting out calories. The focus should be on removing the food that cause rapid changes in blood sugar. If you have a rise in blood sugar, you're going to have a valley, and the valleys are where you're getting all those symptoms of hunger and mood swings and everything like that. So, if you want to go watch the video I did on hormones, all about why you need to regulate those, and that'll accelerate fat loss, that and this video together will give you an amazing head start on where to start if you're trying to lose body fat. But my goal today was really to dispel the myth that calorie counting is effective at all, because I personally don't think it is. And you know, I'm more than open to the idea that some people it works for them, and I'm really sure it does. There's always outliers, and there's people that things work for. But as a general, having been in this industry for 10 years, my clients did not get anywhere near the results that they're getting now when I used to make them count calories versus now when I'm teaching them how to eat for their hormones. So what do? How can you make this actionable? If you've been counting calories for, months and months with no results, what I might recommend to you is to drop the calorie counter and work on recalibrating your hunger signal. Your hunger signal. So when are you actually hungry versus when are you just supposed to eat? Taking an inventory of what you're eating. How many of those foods are whole and unprocessed? How many of them are coming in packages? So my suggestion to you would be to really look, write out what you're eating and look at there and start with, what can I remove that I know isn't serving me anymore? And how can I begin working towards a more healthy lifestyle that I want to maintain versus something that's making me miserable and I want to stop doing as soon as you're at your goal weight, because we know where that leads you, right back to where you started. So I hope that has been super helpful. Again, give it a thumbs up if this has resonated with you. And I'd love to hear your experience in the comments about with calorie counting. Do you calorie count? Has it been successful? Has it been successful long term? I would love to engage in a conversation. If you have questions about this, by more than means, leave them below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Like I said, you guys, if this is exciting to you and you want to dive deeper with me, I do work with clients one-on-one with this inside my Body Smart coaching program. If you want more information about that, it's at TanessaShears.com/Body Smart. I would love to have you check it out. Ask questions if you have them there. Otherwise, you guys, enjoy your day, and I'll see you next time. Looking forward to seeing your questions.